Now we're getting to the good stuff. The really tough stuff, the meat of this whole unit is to be able to write equations. So we're looking at variables and patterns. 3.1, writing equations. And our learning target is simply, I can create a simple rule and equation. First of all, we got to look at this vocabulary. A rule is using words to get to a solution. For example, distance is equal, if we want to find out distance is equal to 20 times the number of hours. Okay, I use words in there. I didn't, and we can just take the number of hours that we have times 20. That's going to give us our distance. Equation. An equation kind of shortens everything up. It uses variables, and that would be letters, numbers, and an equal sign to get to a solution. Our example is the same. I use distance is equal to 20 times the number of hours. So distance turns to D, is equal to, turns to an equal sign, 20 times the number of hours. And for number of hours, I chose H. So I can do D equals, distance equals 20 times H. Whenever you see a number right next to a letter, that means multiply. Write that down. Whenever you see a number next to a letter, that means multiply. All right, here's a summary of this. Malcolm, he says there's $21 per person to visit Wild World. This is this amusement park that they wanted to go to. Liz suggests to make a table or a graph. Malcolm says, nah, there's a simpler way. You can do a simple rule for calculating the cost. So to figure out the cost, he writes this rule. The cost is equal to 21 times the number of people. So I can figure if I have the number of people, I can just multiply that times 21. And there you go. There's my cost. Well, he writes that as an equation. An equation is anything with an equal sign. Okay? Equation is anything with an equal sign. Cost is equal to 21 times the number of people. They're going to start to shorten that up even more. Instead of using whole words, they're just going to use letters. C equals 21 times N. And to shorten that up even more, they're going to get rid of that multiplication symbol because I just told you, whenever you have a number right next to a letter, that means multiply. So C equals 21N, that means multiply 21 times N. That's a great equation right there. Rule uses all words. Equation uses letters, numbers, and an equal sign. Moving on, let's look at this distance that people traveled for an average speed. 3 different speeds. Okay, we have 2 different variables, time and distance. Time and distance. Okay. So time, we already have that filled out. So that's our independent variable. We changed that. It doesn't depend on anything. We said 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's going to go on our x-axis. All of these are going to go on our y-axis, these numbers. So if I traveled at 50 miles per hour for 0 hours, I'd go 0 miles. If I went 50 miles for 1 hour, that's 50 miles. If I went 50 miles for 2 hours, that would be 100 miles. So again, this is a game of multiplication. So if I went 50 miles per hour for 3 hours, that would be 150 miles. Okay? So what I want you to do is I want you to write these in. I want you to write these numbers in. And I want you to figure out 50 times 3, 50 times 4, 50 times 5. And you're going to do that for different speeds. 55. Okay, again, this is a game of multiplication. So you're going to take 55 times 0, 55 times 1, 55 times 2. I'll show you what my data says, and you can compare it with your own. All right, here's my data. So I multiplied 50 times 4, got 200. 50 times 5, got 250. 50 times 6, got 300. And I did that the same with 55. 55 times 1, 55 times 2, 55 times 3, and I went all the way down. 60 times 1, 60 times 2, 60 times 3. Now, for my rules, to figure out distance, that's what I was trying to figure out, distance. Distance is equal to 50 times time. Our next one, distance is equal to 55 times time. All I did was take this 55 times 2, 55 times 3, and that was in the time column. So for my rule for 60 miles per hour, distance is equal to 60 times time. 60 times time gave me my distance. Now to shorten that up, letters, numbers, and an equal sign. Distance turns to D. Equal to turns to an equal sign. 50 stays the same. Times time turns to T. I chose T as my letter. And I just put it right next to each other because that means multiply anyways. So D equals 50T. D equals 55T. D equals 60T. Got all those answers. I want you to write them down, pause the video if you need to. Finally, distance at different speeds. What I want you to do is I want you to graph this information. It's going to eventually look like this. You have your 50 miles per hour right here, 55 miles per hour right here, and 60 miles per hour right here. They all end up rising faster because of the different speeds. The most important thing that I want you to get down is being able to come up with these rules and come up with these equations. That is our target. I can create a simple rule and equation, and we did that right here and right here. Right here and right here. Right here and right here. We did that 3 different times. And we're going to do it a few more times when you come back to school practicing that. Again, I want you to write down any additional questions, fill out these answers, watch this video again if you need to. Otherwise, we will see you tomorrow.